Hello, welcome to Chrysalis Invictus Tarot. Today we have a special reading, Messages from the Trees. I think as we move forward, I'm going to make this a monthly thing because I do a monthly changeover of the cards that are on my altar. So each month I run a workshop called Journey with the Ogham, or a seminar called Journey with the Ogham. And this year I am running companions, so we're doing 2 trees at a time. And what that means is that I now have double the amount of trees on my altar on any given month. And I change over those cards as I am finishing up and wrapping up my research on those trees. So I was going to do that today, and so I thought I would film this while all of my decks are whole and not missing certain cards because they're on my altar. So I'm not entirely sure how this is going to go. There's lots of different ways to read the trees. If you have already made your selection, go ahead and head to your pile. But I would encourage you to come into this reading with a more meditative state. This is a spiritual message we're looking to gather for ourselves. And so we want to come into like a state of receptivity, a state of calm. Taking nice, long, slow, deep breaths in through the nose and out through the nose. And you can see here we have 5 piles. Pile number 1, pile number 2, pile number 3, 4, and 5. So making your selection, I will meet you at your reading. Okay, pile number 1. I hope you've got some tea, you've made yourself comfy. Let's take a look at what trees you have today. First, we have oak. Very strong energy. Gorse. Wow. Already, I'm getting a message of power and strength, resilience and strength, hardening oneself against storm or against toxins. Let's see what other cards we have for you. Luis. Yeah. This is Rowan. And I think Neon. My Gaelic pronunciation is atrocious. Just to warn you. And please bear with me in these readings because I am channeling, and so we're going to take it easy. We're going to take it slow and see what comes through. So you have rowan, gorse, oak, and ash. This is a powerful, powerful energy, and the white poplar. I'm feeling this movement from the banks of a river into the forest. So if you consider, we're gonna go, this is what's gonna happen is we have a story. So you were lost and you found yourself at the river's edge. You navigated your way down the river, and now you have to move through the forest. And there are some forces that are guiding you there. At the core, we have this sense of resilience and strength. Supporting is this. Rowan is a tree of divination. It's a really magical tree. A lot of what its properties operate in the spiritual realm. And ash is the tree of life. Its roots are as deep as its branches are high. And we have this spear here. So there's this direct and decisive movement after being in a period of being lost. And I can tell that you're feeling somewhat fragile. Do you have a doubt in yourself, in your spiritual abilities, in your ability to... Okay. So I'm really understanding you to be someone that maybe people look up to, and at times you wonder if you should be looked up to. At times you question this navigation. At times you question whether you have any authority. A difficult job being human is what I'm hearing. A difficult job being human. You've been bandied about and bashed upon the rocks, and that's how you make your way into the deeper forest. But before there's an enchantment, so there's a spiritual journey. Okay, so this is also about making things physical, making things manifest from the spiritual into the material. So that's part of what you're moving through. And if we think of this as a sort of Ace of Pentacles, I'm getting that energy here as well, like that there's a seed that's been planted. But I don't think that you've seen it grow, but I don't think you're looking in the right direction. I think you planted the seed, and you think you planted the seed in a certain part of the forest, but you didn't. You planted it somewhere else. This is part of that manifestation that's tricky. You planted it somewhere else, and because spirit is such a big part, I'm getting a temperance energy from this. Spirit is such a big part of what you have planted that you're not seeing that it's growing. And it's a bright and shining clarity. There's sun energy here. There's like an Ace of Swords energy here, where it's like cutting straight through everything to the sunlight. And that's the thing that you've planted. I'm going to take a look at in the book that, so this is the Spirit of Nature Oracle by John Matthews, and there is a Green Man Wisdom quote, okay, for each one of the trees in this book, and yours is: fertility wakes a fire in the mind. A fire in the mind. The ash. As above, so below. This is divine manifestation. But you're wondering, where did it go? Where is it? I wonder with this poplar, I wonder what you're still giving power to that doesn't deserve it, or that isn't for you, or how do I put this? This is, so I know that the white poplar is associated with the salmon. So that was that swimming upstream. That was that coming up the river. But, oh, okay. So you're caught in this energy. You're caught in this white poplar energy, but like the negative side of this energy. So not the, I'm a triumphant salmon who has swum upstream and achieved the impossible. You're stuck in the, where's my damn oak tree? Where's my oak tree? Let's get some advice cards here from the Springwood and see if that enhances the advice we have for pile number 1. This is very slow moving. Even the way I'm reading it is very slow moving. Like if you were getting frustrated by how slow I'm reading it, me too. But I feel like it's reflective. I feel like there's a reason for that. Because this is not something, this is something good. And so this is something to eat slow, you know? Light, look to the space between the trees. Yeah, these pauses, these spaces. Look to the space between the trees. It's almost like this manifestation is growing in that space, but you can't see it when you're looking for it. You can't see it when you're looking for it. We have origins. Remember your roots. Remember your roots. And that's the ash here. So your ancestors, I don't know why I said it that way. Your ancestors are just as important as your ethereal beings. So if you are into angels or anything like that, or space stuff, honestly, I don't know much about that with the stars and everything. But if that is something that you're into, you're being called down to the ground. You're being called down to the earth to remember your ancestors, or vice versa. If you are like me and you tend to be really grounded down in the earthly realm, I'm feeling that you're more earthly. And so it's about the branches extending upward. So it could be either way. But remember your roots. It's funny, the light, I almost want to put this here. It's like the light goes here and the origins go here. That's exactly the ash. And if you think about the trajectory of the spear is going from origins to light, from shadow to light, from this place of being tossed around in the river. You've moved through this space of spiritual divination and all of that. We have fertility and flame and creativity all rushing into this oak, into the seed, helping it to grow. Idle hours again with this space between and this slow reading. Take some time out to lie on the emerald grass. Yeah. If you're thinking, what can I do? Nothing. That's the answer. I know you're not going to like that, but that's the answer. that's what I have for you, pile number 1. Please leave me a comment down below. Let me know whether it really annoyed you that this was slow or whatever comments you may have. I'm very, very interested. Thank you so much. Pile number 2, welcome to your reading. We're going to take a look at what trees you have and see what messages they have for you. So starting off with beach. And if you missed my intro, I'm thinking of doing these on a monthly basis. So this could be a message for the next month, but you can certainly decide. Rowan. Decide for yourself is what I was trying to say before I cut myself off. Elm. So that is pine or silver fir. Okay. I'm not even going to try and pronounce this. My Gaelic pronunciation is terrible, but this is the poplar. Interesting. Okay. And vine. Okay, so I'm really getting a sense here of being intoxicated, of being intoxicated by a nurturing and loving energy. Just give me a moment. Just give me a moment to tune in here. So both of these cards for me have a really relationship-centered energy. This feels like a relationship that is half spiritual, half emotional. So it may not be something or someone that you see all that often or that you know that well physically. This could even be someone that you look up to, like a figure, a teacher or something that you don't know in real life. Because there's this, like, there's divination woven into this relationship. Rowan operates primarily in the spirit realm. And with this child here, I'm really getting that, like, nurturing energy. There's a lot of force coming out of this card, so maybe we'll focus here for a moment. In the pines, things are quiet. In the pines, things are comforting. It's almost like time slows down. And it could be that you've needed time to slow down, and this energy allows you to feel that way. But there's a caution here about intoxication. So this could be like almost the energy of getting addicted to a person, getting addicted to a teaching, or someone's perspective on things. I'm going to take a look at the Spirit of Nature Oracle. So that's this card here, Rowan. In the book, he has, this is written by John Matthews, this is a teacher of mine. If you don't know his work and you're interested in Celtic anything, take a look. So we're just gonna look at Rowan, which, have I passed it? I feel like these are not in alphabetical order, which kind of throws me off. They are in, okay, so they're in order of sort of the Wheel of the Year. So I found it. Safe in the knowledge of protection. Yeah, it's really, but the protection is like it's a power greater than yourself. So this protection is something that feels much bigger than you. And so it's almost like this person's ideas, this person's energy makes you feel so safe and protected. But I'm seeing that that is needing to come to an end. It's like leaving the nest. It's like, and it's not to say that this person isn't valuable. The hat that they wear for you is changing. The hat that they wear for you is changing. There's definitely some resistance to that, especially because of this feeling, this big, big feeling of feeling protected. Maybe you don't know if you can feel protected outside of this person's energy. Some of you were cast out of this energy, and so you don't really have a choice in the matter, but that explains how you're feeling if you're wondering why you're feeling the way you are. What else do we have here? I wasn't quite sure how this reading would go because of the just the nature of the trees. It's something that's really personal to me, I guess, and so I wasn't sure how it would translate, but I think it's all right so far. I'm wondering about this vine though. Like for me, this card shows up as the action, or what is moving, what the movement is in this reading. And the movement in this reading, when you think of a vine, it like, if it's in a forest, it will choke out the trees that are around it. And then it grows fruits. Not always, but in this case, this is a grapevine. I'm wondering if what was nurturing you is now smothering you. And the tides are changing, or the things are shifting. And so what was is no longer, it's no longer for you. I'm going to get some Whispering Woods and see if I can tease out this idea a little bit more. The beach is very like communal, and it's the tree that people carve into, which is why I say that this could be a love interest, but I also feel like this could be someone that many people look to for this kind of information. So maybe you follow a certain path, let's say, like a path set out by someone, maybe a guru or something of that nature, or you practice a certain specific kind of yoga, or you have a certain teacher and you're needing to find a different teacher. Forbearance. Do not be deterred by the thorn amidst the roses. It's funny because when I was thinking about vine for me, so when I teach Journey with the Ogham, I actually taught vine as bramble, because that is a kind of vine that grows where I live, and that grows specifically in the Celtic regions that I come from, where vine, in this case with the grape, comes from continental Europe. So bramble has thorns, and I was thinking about thorns while I was holding this and reflecting on movement. And then we have forbearance coming up, reminding us of the thorns. There's something about the movement away that feels painful, or it feels like maybe looking for a new teacher, or looking for new ways, new perspective, new lessons. Looking for this protection outside of yourself is it's always going to hurt you. Oh, because it's internal. Is it internal? Woods. Be like the woods, calm, soothing, mysterious, and full of life. This is drawing it inward. This is drawing the wisdom inward. You've learned what you've learned. You've been taught what you needed to be taught. And now it's changing. And it's funny, actually today, the theme of my, the yoga class I taught today was, it's hard to line things up with this camera. The theme was precipice. This has been the theme for many days. And you see here in this Rowan card, there's a cliff. So sort of like the Fool card, it's a new beginning, and the sun is setting on something old, something that was good, something that was for you, something that had your heart, that really made sense to you, that felt nurturing. I feel the intoxication has worn off for a while now, though. You may be feeling that way. Let's see if there's anything else. Is there anything else for my pile twos? I'm really interested to know how this reading speaks to people, so please leave me a comment below and let me know that. Flowers are unaware of each other's beauty. They bloom regardless. So they're, you know, within this, I could see not wanting to kind of rub people the wrong way, or not wanting to go against the grain too much. Like sometimes we enter into a spiritual journey and we don't want it to take us too far away from what we know. And that's not always the case. But I'm also feeling, this is also giving me the energy of the thorns here. The thorns are humbling you. The thorns are making you feel more human. And so maybe you felt that you had ascended to a certain point, and that you had learned all of your lessons, or that you had, you know, I'm beyond that, is kind of the energy there. And then you realize, like, you're like, I am the rose. And then you find yourself in the thick of the thorns. But this is totally on track. Like, this is where you are. And this is the movement, is to find new things to intoxicate you, new ideas. The wheel is turning, and something that is for you will show itself. Look for that rose amidst the thorns. Be like the woods, calm, soothing, mysterious, and full of life. So I think I'll leave it there for you. pile number 2, and take care. Pile number 3, I'm going to be real with you. I felt a lot of energy when I was shuffling for this pile, so I'm really excited to dig in and see what trees you have today. And we start with holly. Shadow self, the masculine protection. Let's see what else you have. Fern. There's a quote about the cracks are where the light gets in or through or something like that, and I'm reminded of that here. And we have, I'm gonna say strife. My Gaelic pronunciation is terrible. Mystery, secrets, mysterious. And with the berries. Okay. And I'm not even going to begin to try Ulian. Ulian. So there's change. There's a hook. There's a, it's almost not even like a fork. It's like, you know, when you're walking on a trail and all of a sudden it looks like it goes nowhere and it just leads you in this whole other direction. So this is the, for trees, this is honeysuckle. Honeysuckle, fern, holly, and what is this? Oh, blackthorn. Duh, blackthorn. I was forgetting the name of the tree. I kept wanting to say juniper, because the juniper berries look, well, they're a lot smaller, but they look kind of similar in that they're the same color, maybe. And then hawthorn. Whew, okay. Yeah. So you're not where you thought you'd be. You're not even where your lineage or your family or any of that dictates you would be. You're in this whole other space that you have carved out, that spirit, the powers that be, the energies, the fate, whatever it is, has put you in this whole other space from what was expected. You walk a path of mystery, and this path is unknown until you get to certain spaces. So I see that there is a lot of mist or blackness or shadow in front of you, that you have to make a lot of moves in the dark, that you have to make a lot of choices based on intuition, based on, sorry, I'm just feeling a little bit motion sick almost. This fern, when I focus in on it, it makes me feel sick to my stomach. And there's a tightness in the chest. So this is, when I taught Journey with the Ogham, I didn't teach fern, I taught broom, which is a physical cleansing is needed if we're bringing that into it, but this is the crack, the space. So there's this emotional intensity that you are holding in your body. Let's see how we can process it. like I almost want to purge right now. I'm hearing declare your intensity because it is good. So maybe you've had to, because you haven't fit in with ordinary, if you will, or with anything else, because the path doesn't exist before you create it. There's a lot of shame and guilt that can be developed, and a lot of traumas from being misunderstood, from not being able to assume a role that's expected of you. I'm just going to take some deep breaths. So if you want to do that with me, closing your eyes, grounding your feet or your tailbone if your feet are not touching the ground, and taking a deep breath in through the nose and out through the nose. In through the nose. And out through the nose. And know that you are not alone. Whatever protection, this trauma can be a sexual trauma. It doesn't have to be, but it can be. And with Holly here, this is about cultivating personal protection, developing the protection of yourself through your inner masculine. So if you haven't worked on your masculine side, that is definitely recommended here. And a physical practice to process the trauma that's inside of your body, that's stored inside of your body. You'll be purging more than what's yours. You'll be purging more than what's yours. And this is sometimes perceived, the honeysuckle is sometimes perceived as or referred to as the elbow. So if you think of the elbow, it's like the knee. It doesn't move from side to side. It's sort of fixed in this one movement. I don't know if you can see it in the shadow. I'm like moving my arm to try and give you more insight about an elbow. It's a hinge. It's a hinge. And I'm getting that you are like a hinge spiritually. You are at the gate, hinging from side to side. Who's the god of hinges? I think it's Janus. You might want to look into them as well. Hawthorns are associated with the fairies. There's a lot of, moral ambiguity about this path. You have blackthorn and hawthorn. These are companion trees. These are, well, not companion trees, but these are of the same family. And there's a lot of divination in them. There's a lot of otherworld energy over here. And you're hinging. And part of the reason that you have so much of this trauma is because of this gift of the hinge, this gift of the pathless path, this navigation. You are not alone, friend. This is, I don't normally choose a pile, but this is my pile. And we are very much connected. That's why I'm feeling so much of your energy right now, which is super cool. So please reach out to me in the comments. We have trust. The robin trusts her wings, not the branch she sits on. Yeah, you've got nothing but yourself to go on. Because even in this, what is going to appear different than what is. You cannot trust what is outside of yourself. And that's not meant to make you paranoid. I just mean in terms of navigation. You can trust people, but you have to trust your abilities to navigate and to know what is right and what is not, because there's always a trick, there's always a hook, there's always a hinge, there's always two sides to something. If you've seen the movie Labyrinth, I'm remembering or thinking of the scene where it's like there's two scenes. There's one with the door where the one little knocker guy has the thing in his mouth, and the other one has it over his ears. And then, but the one I was thinking of where there are two heads on either side, and you don't know which one is telling the truth. There's something significant about that. Maybe go back and watch that movie. I don't know if I described that scene well enough, but I can see it in my mind. It's just hard to fully describe. Growth. The tallest oak tree once started as a seedling. Don't be afraid to start something new. And rather than starting something new, I feel like you're never starting something new. You're coming to these hinges, these not even forks, these bends. It's like it bends, it goes downhill, it swirls around, and also it's always new because you can't see what's in front of you. You can only see so far. So it's always going to be somewhat new. It's always going to feel like change in your life. What else can we get here? Advice for you. Kindness. Take respite by a pond and be kind to yourself and others. Well, that's some beautiful advice. And I think I'm going to leave you there, pile number 3. Thank you so much for joining me, and we'll see you soon. Hello, pile number 4. I was about to call you pile number 3, but we've already been there. So pile number 4, let's take a look at what trees we have for you. We start with the hazel. Lovely. Hazel is a tree of wisdom. The salmon, in Celtic mythology, the salmon swims beneath the hazel tree and eats the nuts, and that's how the salmon is so wise. Holly. So holly is a very masculine energy, an energy of protection. Please bear with me in this reading as I tune into the energies of the cards, okay? So, hazel and holly. Oh no. Ifin? Is that what we want to call it? So this could be, I think this is pine. Nope, totally wrong. Gooseberry. Way off. Gooseberry. I'm getting an energy of climbing. Climbing, learning. What are you learning right now? Pile number 4. What? My pronunciation. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. So this is hawthorn. There's gooseberry, hawthorn, hazel, and holly. and beach. I feel like you're seeking a community. I feel like you're seeking a community of like-minded or at least safe individuals to explore some of your maybe newer beliefs or some of your old beliefs that are becoming more and more important to you. Something came into your life and really rattled you. There's this feeling of like, it may have honestly been a drug trip. For some of you, you know, like an ayahuasca kind of thing, or peyote, or acid, or mushrooms, or anything. But it blew open some doors and you weren't necessarily ready for those doors to be opened. There's some unstable energy here, but the holly is going to be something that you can call in to help protect you. It's a masculine protecting energy. So almost like thinking of it, calling it in as a father figure. That might help with some of the flashbacks that you don't know how to stabilize if you're having those. Okay, so the wolf moves with love. Yeah, you're going to need to seek people in your life that are safer for you. I'm really getting you have outgrown your community. You've outgrown the people around you. Maybe you were always grown out of them, honestly. You might be the group mother or father energy that makes everyone else feel safe, but who protects you? When you're nurturing, who nurtures you? That kind of thing. Beaches have that beautiful smooth skin and they get carved into, like, that's the tree that people usually carve, like Jim loves Susan or whatever onto them. And that's kind of what I'm getting, is that you're moving. There's a need for you to move away from being carved into, for being the person who just gives and gives and gives and gives and loves and gives, and because you're tapping into these like new sort of interesting energies. And it doesn't have to be drugs, honestly. It could be something that happened, like traumatic incidents can open these things as well. Really, really quickly, but it was something happened quickly and you just kind of and started to maybe open up to new abilities, new ideas. I'm getting that you really started to feel things differently, like to understand your empathy differently, to understand how you feel people differently. So let's see if we can get you some advice from, what is this called? The Whispering Woods. Idle hours. Take some time out to lie on emerald grass. There may be a dependency on nurturing other people for you. So you nurture other people to avoid checking in on yourself. So I would explore what you get from nurturing people. What is your motivation? You don't really like to take time to yourself or be in the quiet. You know that Alanis Morissette song where she says, "Why are you so petrified of silence here? Can you handle this? Did you think about your bills, your ex, your deadlines, or when you think you're going to die? Or did you long for the next distraction?" What song is that? All I Really Want. Okay, so All I Really Want. I will link that, if I remember, down below for you if you want to listen to that song. Could be something there for you. The nights. Find comfort in the night where the world switches off and the stars burn bright. Yeah, there's just like being alone in nature, but in your own nature as well. I feel like you bring in so much healing for other people. You do so much for other people that you don't even know. You don't even know your own energy in a way. Like there would be no way to see that clearly. You might be going off of what other people have told you, honestly, instead of knowing it yourself. And so this solitation, that's not a word. You can't do solitation because that's not a word. But this solitude, and build up this masculine aspect of yourself. If you need guidance with this, I do, in the description down below, there's information on my website and everything. But I do shadow work sessions, so they're like one-on-one sessions with people. And so if you have something specific, like I need to work on my masculine, then that's something that we can work on together with journeying, movement, card guidance, things of that nature. But that's only if you feel called to do that. I only like to work with people who feel called. So make a wish with a dandelion in the wind. What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? I feel like some of you are yelling back, I don't know. I'm feeling this like pushback. Like, don't ask me that question. It's like the worst question that someone could ask you. What do you want? Can you write it down? Can you tell it to your cat? Can you tell it to a tree? Can you draw it? You know, how can you connect to yourself in a way that is meaningful and helpful to you? These are the big questions for you, pile number 4. I'm sending you so much love, and I'll see you soon. Pile number 5, last but not least, let's take a look at what trees you have. We start with willow. So willow is actually what I'm doing this month in January, willow and alder. Willow has a beautiful feminine energy and a wisdom, but let's see what other trees you have. Willow. Does it matter what other trees you have? So if you are in doubt of where to go, if you're wanting to, and you live somewhere that there are willows that are accessible, go to the willows. That's going to be the best thing for you. Some of the themes, because it's this beautiful feminine energy, it's intuition, introspection, but there's also this feeling of sovereignty and then flow. So the willow it grows by the water. It has this almost like, if you would understand it this way, like a moon energy. And so like I was getting a high priestess energy from this one specifically, where she has the moon at her feet and there's a water flowing behind her. The willow grows at the water's edge generally. And so there's this like strong tree that grows up out of this flow and this current of emotion. So there's strength. This is especially a beautiful strength for someone who's a water sign to cultivate, or if you have a lot of water placements in your chart. The willow is going to be a really strong ally for you. Learn from her what you can do. And Reese, there's this so first of all, this is the elder tree. Something, I want to see what other cards you have to like make sense of this. All right, birch, a new beginning, that beautiful, fresh, new energy. You don't have to burn your bridges to move on. Blackthorn. Incredible. Okay. So the current of this reading is magic. Secrecy. There's almost a mystery about did you have someone around you who you thought you were spiritually aligned with that turned out to be not as aligned as you thought they were? Elderberry and blackthorn berries look almost identical. Yeah. There was a loss of faith in community or something of that nature in a person or in a community. And you've been really feeling uncomfortable about it, almost a rift. And the rift created this new beginning because there was no foundation there before. The foundation wasn't sturdy or as sturdy as it needed to be. I'm going to take a look at, I forgot to do this for some of the other piles, but I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to take a look at Willow in the Spirit of Nature Oracle book, because John Matthews puts these green man wisdom lines. From harmony comes inspiration. Yeah, it's like, I feel like there isn't harmony around you right now. And it's causing you a lot of like, it's like icky discomfort. I almost get like a feeling like you're being worshipped or looked up to in people that you thought were equals. Like you're looking for support, but the support that you're trying to get is not strong enough. And your intuition says these is like giving you these messages. I don't think anything I'm saying is new to you at all. I think that your intuition is feeding you these messages, but you're sort of like unsure about what to do about these messages. If there's any sort of action that can be done. I just, even the look on her face, like, it's sort of like, are you stupid? Really? Or like, what are you doing? And maybe you're a lot kinder than that, but the look on her face is so interesting. There's also, okay. So on her hand is the symbol of the boar. So yeah, I'm really getting that there's this like level of sovereignty that you have. Sovereignty is also indicated by the willow. There's a lot of sovereignty here, but there's like almost nowhere to place it, or it's placed in the wrong place, or it's and I think there's a danger of developing thorns about it, which is, you know, if you haven't already, that's sort of her face, right? So Rowan, willow, I feel like there's just something that maybe even that you used to be associated with that you don't want to be associated with anymore. Like you're distancing yourself. Maybe the lockdown time has been really good for distancing yourself. But it's like seeing that these relationships, or this, whatever it is, if it's a relationship or it's a way of thinking, or it's something that you get emotional about though. So that's something to know, that it needs, wherever you are going, as you are going forward with this sovereignty, the people beside you have to have that sovereignty. They have to have that sovereignty. Let's get some woodland, nope, whispering woods. I was gonna call them woodland wisdom cards, I think. So we're gonna get some of these cards. Advice for pile number 5. Ooh. All right, surprises. Under the most ordinary stone is an undisturbed garden. Interesting. I'm getting that, like, again, it's almost like there's something about the look. There's something about the look, not just the way she's looking, but it's the look of things. That, like, maybe, what's an example? Like, maybe you started with a teacher who really looked like they knew what they were talking about, and then you get into it and you're sort of like, wait, what? But this is sort of reminding you that you can't judge from the outside, or from what someone says about themselves, who is the right teacher. Allow your intuition to guide you. You have a strong, strong intuition. What are you going to do about the ordinary stones that are dressed up like sovereignty? The stone, the undisturbed, the most ordinary stone is what I'm thinking of here, is at the base of this new beginning. And this, the birch is the first tree to grow after a forest fire, or one of the first. So it's this, this fresh energy that comes out of the wreckage, but you're wanting it to come out of the wreckage. So maybe you've burnt things down before. Maybe this has happened before, these like sort of tower moment, and you rebuilt, but you didn't rebuild with a strong foundation. You rebuilt with what was there, almost. Okay, next is retreat. Spoil yourself in the morning mist. Breathe in nature's sweet scents. Okay, so a lot of clarity is going to come through for you. I'm feeling that you have a very developed spiritual practice. So I can be almost more vague with you, or more specific. So this quite literally, your meditation practice in the morning is going to help you unlock this. The morning is the key time for this. And I'm also getting that a lot more clarity is going to come when you start tilling the soil. So when you first start, you know, like tearing up the earth in, what's that, March? It depends on where you are. April? Spring, anyway. Spring is going to be spring cleaning of more than just your home. Risk. Learn to grow wherever you are planted. Why is this a risk? Why is it a risk to follow your intuition and to fully acknowledge that that something was baseless and that it's time to rebuild, or that it's time to acknowledge that? I think maybe there's something about how intoxicating, beware of intoxication. Beware of shells that are veiled or thin. Veiled or thin. Beware of shells that are veiled or thin. And you're also reminded that you have thorns. Not just for defense, but to sense where you need to be protected, to cut it off before it gets to where it is. Who feeds on your sovereignty is another question. And why is it a risk to acknowledge this? Learn to grow wherever you are planted. Let me know down below if that speaks to you. I feel like you need one more card. Can I get one more card for pile number 5? One more card. This is interesting. This one here. Light. Look to the space between the trees for answers. The space between what isn't being said, what isn't being shown, what isn't being done, what isn't matching. What isn't matching? All right, that's what I have for you. Thank you so much for joining, and we'll see you soon.